Well, the business bug, well, it happens to bite Dana White right in the butt yet again. I mean, he's in the predicament of the UFC business. So he's a part of it. He loves it. He's a fan of it. But this thing with Cyborg, I knew it was what it was. He never liked Cyborg. He wanted to use Cyborg's popularity and the fact of the real MMA fighters wanted to see Cyborg. That's why he wanted her over. But Cyborg wasn't stupid. She knew that she had a team behind her. She knew she had certain things that she would want. No one could beat her in the sport. And Dana White, that's not good for him because he needs to be the upper hand in dictating everything about the UFC. Can't have somebody who comes in and do what they want to do. Now, they tried to do a renegotiation with Cyborg when her contract was up. She owed them one more fight in like 4 months or whatever, or she could just sit it out and she'll be released out of her deal. She opted to become a free agent. And they're trying to tell her and tell the world that Cyborg refused a rematch. When Cyborg's like, that's not even close to the truth. Dana White told her that they already had plans. That she wanted the rematch, but they already had plans on what they wanted to do with Holly Holm, and they wanted that fight. They wanted to have that fight happen. Holly Holm versus Amanda Nunes. So they wanted that fight. So she's like, so why are you lying, Dana? And Dana was like, we'll talk. You know, everything's good. We'll talk. We'll work it out. Now, what Cyborg did was record her confronting Dana White. So it made Dana White look really stupid and like the liar he really is. So when this happened, he was like, she's done. She's done. Okay, we released her out of our contract. She's no longer part of the UFC. Okay, fine. She's no longer part of the UFC. She was already a free agent anyway and wasn't going to fight for you no more anyhow. So now, unless you come back, she's free to go to any company she wants. But UFC is done with Cyborg. He wanted to put that out in the public to make it look like we're getting rid of her, not her getting rid of us. She knew she was leaving. She knew you would never give that rematch to her. I think Amanda Nunes will beat her again. But anyhow, that's beside the point. You were never going to give her that opportunity to, unless you control the narrative. No fighter that's going to remain a free agent and not re-sign with the UFC was going to have a career in the UFC. The UFC wasn't designed for independence. It's I own you, you fight when I tell you to fight, and that's it. We're not a sport, we are a company. And this is how the business is ran. Dana White will not be talked to, negotiated with, and definitely not put in a position where he's powerless. So yes, he wanted her to lose. Didn't want her to respond to a lot of different things. Now, with that being said, we move forward. What does this mean? Where does Cyborg go? She has about 3 other options out there. There's some other companies that are already, they're wanting to do fights with her and guaranteeing that they could pay just as much, if not more, than what Dana White paid. So she knows what she could get in the market. That's why she said, yeah, no thanks. So anyhow, if you guys remember the story or know anything about it, Dana White made funds a reference to her. We've seen Joe Rogan make statements, but he apologized for his comments he made years ago. Dana White's kind of never really owned up to it. He tried to act like it just didn't happen. It's not a good thing, especially when someone still holds on to it. But this is why Dana White's in the predicament that he's in. Because he's going to be stuck in a situation where Amanda Nunes has nobody to fight. Who you going to put her in the ring with? You're going to keep moving her to division to division? She can't go lower. You can forget that. That's out. So now, I don't know. I really and truly just don't know. What's the direction? So on Onecraknews here, we're telling you the business behind all these moves. Because this was a strategic business move. But it exposed Pandora's box when everyone wanted to know what was going on. Why was Nate Diaz pulling out a fight? Why was is everybody crazy? Or is Dana just don't want to pay nobody? He wants to control the narrative. Take the money I give you, be glad you're getting it, and then if you win, we'll talk later. Everybody wants to be a superstar. I don't think his job is easy. I won't say that. I won't foolishly sit here and say, "Oh, Dana White's got an easy job." That's stupid. Because he doesn't. He has a very hard job. It's difficult. And in that difficult job that he has to convince millions of people that's watching that he's doing the best job possible. And he's got it all under control. When the company is barely holding on. Because they lost a lot of revenue and a lot of juice with that ESPN Plus activity. A lot of juice was lost. You know why the juice was lost? The juice was lost because you lost all that business from Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings used to pay and order the fights for their restaurants. Now they're saying they all got to subscribe to ESPN Plus, and ESPN Plus won't allow Buffalo Wild Wings to distribute the fights. And remember how all you guys used to watch UFC and love it and pack it into Buffalo Wild Wings? And Buffalo Wild Wings used to love it because they had all that traffic, all them people buying food, wings, and drinks. Now, just a normal, breezy day at old B-Dubs. Nobody getting drunk with nobody. It's a brand new day, Rick. So why it's a brand new day? Nothing's taking place. Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. No transactions are being done. So therefore, you're seeing this new company, ESPN, has put this money up. And they're like, oh, we're doing great numbers now with ESPN. Not for ESPN. Your pay-per-views have been below the expectations of what they thought for each fight. You had one fight that excelled. Where's the Conor McGregor fights? You were forced to sign that deal to bring Khabib back. And you can't afford to put Khabib in there with Tony Ferguson, who more than earned his shot at Khabib. You won't make that fight happen because it's not feasible for you. Tony still got some work to do. Who else he got to beat up? He beat up your cowboy. Connor's not going to fight him. I made a video telling you. I said Khabib and Tony Ferguson will mop the floor with Conor McGregor. Back then, I was crazy. Right? Didn't know what I was talking about. Ooh, he's crazy. He's a hater. Now, I don't think you can find anybody that would argue against me. Oh, man, that's the beauty. And that's the beauty of this sport. There'll be people who were totally Conor McGregor fans will be arguing me and making points in my favor right now. Oh, man. Conor knows what he is. You see, he knows he's just a con job. I saw it a long time ago when he was winning. I said, this guy's a con artist. I know exactly what he is. He's there to sell the event. He don't want it like that. He's playing crazy. It's not really crazy. Sure, he works out, he gets in shape, but he hadn't looked dominant since he moved up in weight. He was good at those lightweights because he was about 20 pounds bigger than the guy he was fighting. Then it got to the point where he couldn't make those weights no more. Then Conor McGregor train went and sailed. And I told you, I said, look, I know real fighters when I see one. This guy here, a lot of blah, 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 blah. But he ain't going to beat any of those big guys. No way. They would mop the floor with him. So Dana knows what's best for Conor. He'll save him for the Khabib fight because he needs that fight. He needs Conor to come back and be able to fight Khabib again. But it's not going to have interest if Khabib loses. So putting him in there with Tony Ferguson is very dangerous for him. He has to put him in with a fighter he knows Khabib will definitely have a good time or a good showing against. It's all business. But their problem is they want to make it like boxing and divisions and moving up the ladder. And now he's earned his shot. He's got his title shot is earned, so he has to, or they got to negotiate to get a fight going. It's like, are you serious? If that's the case, Tony Ferguson, who never pulled out of the fight, Khabib pulled out of the fight with him, they would have to get it on. I think once Khabib gets him to the ground, that the fight will be over. But hey, people want to see that fight. It is what it is. Meanwhile, the MMA fan, the one that's been paying and buying the pay-per-views, while the casuals ignore it unless it's a big mega thing, they don't get the fights they want. And that falls on Dana. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been a lot better fights made in the past year than there have been in UFC in a very long time. I will give them credit for that. There have been much better matchups than there's been in a very long time. And I give them credit to that. I tip my hat to them. And I say, great job. But Dana White is very inept at his job. His abuse of power and ego goes to his head. So that's how I feel. close it out. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button, and definitely hit the super chat up. What y'all waiting on?